What's happening, gamers? King Mega 405 coming to you live from the 405. Where I'm just your regular gamer talking to the intelligent gamers. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Be so kind to hit that subscribe button, that like button, that notification bell, the comments, all of that. All right, so very interesting. This just dropped today. And I already know where this is going to go. This is going to definitely get people to start saying, well, this is Xbox wants to be like Sony. No. But if you read the headline, it says the boss of Xbox Game Studios has said the publisher wants to get better at making the type of blockbuster games that rival PlayStation is known for. So, of course, PlayStation's big titles, which is Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted. Those four. But this is where it gets to a point where if you just keep reading the article, you'll see what he's saying. It's something that I've been saying for a long time that I hope to Xbox to do is to get back into that mold of what they were during the 360 era. And right here, he kind of alludes to that. He says, creating diverse software portfolio, noting that the cool thing about Game Pass is that it's got rooms for everything from Halo to smaller games like Grounded. Now remember, when Game Pass was already being implemented, was being talked about, there were people that were definitely out there on the hill talking about, well, they're only going to get games like Grounded and Sea of Thieves. They're not going to give you any compelling, deep story driven AAA bangers. Well, okay, we already know Halo is going to be that. Forza is going to be that. That they always try to discontinue Halo, Gears, and Forza. We already know that. But there's other titles. There's going to be Starfield. We know that there's going to be Fable. There's going to be tons of other games that's going to be coming out there. That's AAA, big budget titles that will be there in Game Pass. So that's a good start into this new generation for Xbox. And something that the Xbox One, the start was amazing, and then it got to the middle, and then at the end, it just was, people were just almost at their wits' end. Not me, of course, but there was a lot of people that were thinking that Xbox was about to be done. But anyway, as we keep going, he said, however, I do like the fact that these companies acknowledge their big titles as such. Just like I like when they, when Halo drops, when Forza drops, they're going to be Yoshida and Jim Ryan, and they're going to say congratulations, blah blah blah, and vice versa. That's it's friendly competition. It's not crazy like we see in these gaming streets where people are just where some people just can't say anything positive about anything that's not their preferred console. But he also, like he said, he takes his hat off to Sony and their studios and their leadership. He said, but Matt Booty, this is Matt Booty, what he said that we are paying attention to fan expectations. I think that there's certain kind of games that generates an anticipation that kind of become this big tentpole moment. He says it's a game that fits that intersection that everybody can play, and that's also a big world that you feel like you can inhabit. And I think those kind of games are important. And then of course he keeps going on and talking about it's something that they want to do, but he also makes the point and says, I don't necessarily want to get into what's our Uncharted, what's our Horizon Zero Dawn, or this or that. I don't think that does anybody any good, which he's right. Because everybody can make these comparisons. It's just like, for instance, like with the NBA. There's always comparisons between Michael Jordan and LeBron James. But people always forget about Bill Russell, Kareem, and Will Chamberlain, because we haven't seen, now I've seen Kareem, but I haven't seen Will Chamberlain or Bill Russell play. We just now started to see some footage of Will Chamberlain, and because there wasn't footage out there of these guys like that, so to show about their great. These comparisons don't really, because there's always going to be people that have their favorites. You can't tell somebody well, I love Halo, right? Well, I'll put Halo up against God of War. Well, there's going to be people that say they love God of War more than they love Halo because of just the difference of games. what you have to acknowledge is that these games are both spectacular. What Xbox is just telling people is that, look, we're going to be bringing all different types of titles to not only, just the Xbox, but also to Game Pass, which is a good look, which people have been asking for. So the big titles to the small titles, that's what you want. That's exactly what the 360 era was all about. You had the biggest titles all the way to the smallest arcade titles and everything else in between. And that's what is going to make Game Pass increase its numbers. Because for one game that somebody might not like, that might be something that might be fantastic for those people. And then even if they aren't interested at that game at that particular point in time, they can see it in Game Pass and they can like, oh, let me go ahead and try it. And then they try it, and then they just say they fall in love with it, and then they're going to eventually buy it. It's a really good look for Microsoft to come out and just say that, show acknowledgement for Sony's big titles. Of course, we wouldn't have an article that's the opposite, which makes that pisses me off in a sense, because listen, if you don't think that Sony is not trying to find a game that can touch the levels of Halo and Forza, even though like people will say, well, Gran Turismo is not the same. It used to be the dominant racer. It is not the dominant racer anymore. As I tend to come, so like when you look at for those deep storied AAA games, Sony has that locked until Xbox brings something that can get people to say, okay, look, Xbox is not doing Fable, of course. We'll see what I'm really excited for Hellblade. We'll see what Hellblade's going to do. But what other titles that they're going to have? We're going to have Joanna Dark. Of course, we don't know if Indiana Jones is going to be an exclusive or not. It says that it's going to be an exclusive, but we need to find that out. If they're going to do something with The Mandalorian. The one thing I think only will be the biggest question out of all of this is, will Microsoft make these moves to go after a superhero to combat against the likes of Spider-Man, and now you got Wolverine, and then you got other, you're going to have probably most likely just like this whole slew of different Marvel characters. So is the acquisition of Batman, or let's say WB, will that be something that Microsoft is going to look into? Because it does say that in here as well that they're not done. They're going to be jumping into that, like Xbox is growing, they're going to be looking forward to keep going forward. So acquisitions will happen. But what will that be? Will they combat that, or will they just, like if they go like with Star Wars or if something else? I don't know, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. I do think that where Xbox is going is definitely in the right direction, and they have to acknowledge Sony for their big four, big five. And so does, because they're completely opposites. You don't want them to be the same, but you do want to have a couple of the titles that people can sink their teeth into, like they would on like they do with some of the PlayStation titles out there. And PlayStation needs to do the same by having multiplayer games, and maybe that's going to be with factions, and maybe that might be their first start. They're definitely looking to try to bring those games that can those games as a services that they can come and try to have people stay and continuously play those games, like you do with Sea of Thieves and etc. So I don't know. I'd like to hear your thoughts about this and what you think about the article. Everybody have a good one. Until the next video, we are out. Peace.